Hi everyone, welcome back to Mad About Cards and Crafts. Today I'm excited to be sharing the Bouquet of Happiness, which was illustrated by Lusana Lowry. This is a slimline card that I created. We're going to jump right into the project. I am using some FABRIANO 100% cotton extra white 140-pound cold press paper. I have found that this is my paper that I love for the Karin markers. I'm going to be doing a little bit of heat embossing to start out with. I have sped up this video to 3 times so we can get through it, and I hope that I don't make you dizzy and you're able to see and understand what I am doing. So that piece of cardstock, as I said, is the FABRIANO cold press. I have used some Versamark ink on there, and now I am adding some champagne embossing powder from Gina K Designs. Sadly, this embossing powder has been discontinued. It is one of my favorite, and unfortunately I'm going to continue to use it because I just love the look of it on paper. You could certainly use gold and that would be just as pretty. So I did heat up my heat tool for about 30 seconds, brought it to the paper, and now we're going to start coloring these beautiful roses. I'm going to show you a few of the inner leaves. I do lay down a little bit of color where I want my shadows to be. You can see I am not laying down very much color. I just realized learned, I should say, I didn't know that these were inks and they were not watercolors. I always thought that they were watercolors, but I recently found out that they are actually inks. And so I have not had very good luck with them. And I watched a couple videos with Christina Warner and Debbie Hughes and a few other people, and they used the cold press paper with their Karin markers, and I thought that I would give this a try, and this was the magic bullet for me. I am using the Wonder Forest brush, watercolor brushes. I love these. I'm using a number 8, and I lay down just a little bit of color. I fill my brush with water. I tap off any of the excess, onto my microfiber cloth, and then I draw the ink out. And so it will get lighter as you draw it out. It will stay a little bit darker in the areas. You only need a little bit of ink. You don't want to lay down a whole lot of ink. And I found that not in this project, but in other projects, that when you do no line coloring, that it gravitates towards the lines. So if you don't want a really dark line, then you want to lay down your color just inside your light colored ink so that it doesn't gravitate towards soaking into the paper in those spots. So you can see that I was able to do the inside of the rose, and I'm working my way out. I don't have to worry about working next to each other with the petals because I did heat emboss this. So I don't have to worry about any bleeding. We're going to go into this big petal. I wanted to make sure that I showed how I worked the bigger petals. The smaller ones are pretty easy. As I said, you just lay down a little color where you want your shading to be, and then you draw that out. I'm going to use the same technique here, but I'm going to have to use just a little bit more water. I'm going to make sure that there's going to be a lot of white space or lighter space on this petal. It's going to be much lighter because the center of the rose is going to have all the shadowing because all of those petals are overlapping each other, and so it's going to be causing a shadow. But on the outside here, it obviously is not going to have that shadow, so it's going to be much lighter. I am taking a little bit of water and I laid it on the other rose to the left, and then I realized that I had missed some spots, so I'm going to go in and finish these up. And then when I move on to my next color, I didn't want to keep everything the same color, so I decided to bring in a yellow, and I end up coloring all of the small florals yellow, and then I'm going to color on top of them with the additional pinks. So I started on that rose with my magenta, and I did use the magenta on that. And then for this second flower right here, I brought in the canary, which is the yellow, and then I'm going to add some pale pink, and that is going to give it that orange, I guess you want to say, like a tangerine color. I knew that I wanted to have more of a peachy orange type of floral to go with this. So these ones are going to have more of a peach tone or an orange to it. And then I will use 2 other colors on the other roses, which I'm not going to show. I will end up using a cerise, and I believe that I combine that with a little bit of the magenta and a little bit of the pale pink. So as I said, no 2 roses are going to be the same, so I wanted to make sure that I got a little bit of variety in each of my roses. I stamped them out. I just wanted to stamp and play. And as I was working on this, I thought, you know, this would be really pretty if I cut them out in circles. And so that is what I'm going to end up doing, is using some older MFT scallop dies, and I am going to cut these out. So here's where I'm deepening the color. I'm adding the color more towards the bottom of the flower where I think that the shadowing will be. I'm no coloring expert, you guys. I just love to play, but I have to tell you, I did share this paper in my favorite things because I have really struggled with these markers that are so, you know, I see such beautiful work with them, and I really wanted to play with them, and I really wanted to love them. And like I said, I just struggled, and this was effortless. This was exactly what I wanted it to be. It's what I dreamt that these markers would be. So it's pricey. I'm going to tell you, the paper is pricey, but well worth it for me. I love watercoloring, and so this was a lot of fun. I want to talk a little bit about the new products over in Jamie's shop. She does have 3 new stamp sets. She has some ephemera pieces, some stickers, some new paper, gorgeous paper. Oh my goodness, you have to take a look at the paper that she has over there. It's 6x6. And it was designed by Teresa, who was formerly from Scrappin' for Less. And she did a fantastic job with the paper. And Jamie did offer a Valentine's box. So all of the products are available in a big Valentine box. It's 15% off if you buy it in the box form, and that's going to cost you $60. She does offer free shipping with $60, as well as a rewards program that's available. Now on the box, you cannot use the coupon code Jamie for 10% off. That 15% is the discount, but on other products, if you use the coupon code Jamie, you do get 15% off. So here's where I took those scallop circles and I cut them out. I used different sizes for each of the florals. I'm going to cut this off, and I'll show you the medium size that I'm going to end up cutting this one with. And finally, off camera, I will use a smaller one. So I need a background. This is 4x9. It is Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock. This is a Catherine Pooler stencil, a slimline stencil called Faceted. I love this stencil. And I am just using some distress oxide, in Festive Berries and dried marigold. I'm not going to add any water to this panel. I want it to be very vibrant and beautiful in the background. I thought these colors went really well with the roses that I have already colored. So we're going to ink blend in the middle. We'll get a little bit of kind of that orange color or peach color that I went for in some of the flowers. I'm going to work at this with my Amazon brushes. I did not use any pixie spray. I forgot to spray it, and it came out beautifully, but I should have sprayed it because it would have been just a little bit easier. I was getting a little bit of movement on the stencil. I decided that I wanted to add a little bit of shadowing and some gray around and get rid of that stark white. This is the only warning that I have for the Karin markers, and that is that you don't lay the gray directly down to paper. I have found that the gray doesn't move as well as some of the other colors. I don't know what properties are in it that allow that to happen, but it just doesn't flow as well. So as you can see, I'm using the packaging from the stamp set. I just color on it with the gray, and then I use some water to draw that out. And I'm going to find that I'll end up starting to put water down first. And because I have that heat embossing, it's already embossed the images, it's protecting it from any of the extra water that I get down. So I'm going to do this to all of the panels, or all of the little circles. You can see the other two that I've already cut out. I just haven't colored them. But through the magic of editing, you're going to see that I will have them colored, and then I'm going to come in with my Gansai Tomby starry watercolor paints, and I am going to do some ink splattering onto these circles. You know I love my ink splattering, and so I'm going to be fairly generous with this. I did spray water in there, and I'm mixing it up, and I'm using one of my bigger paint brushes. I think that that's like a number 12, I believe. And I want some big splatters, and I'll get some little splatters. That box lid was giving me such a problem. It just kept falling down. I had something on my desk. You look at my desk. I'm a messy crafter, so there is always something on my desk. There are some beautiful sentiments in this set. The first one is "Miss You, That's All." Happy Valentine's Day. I am using "You Are So Loved." When I count my blessings, I count you twice, and love you bunches. I'm going to do the same heat embossing using Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock, Versamark ink, champagne embossing powder, the heat tool. I'm going to cut it out using an older MFT banner die, and now we're going to figure out where we want these circles to lay. Off camera, I will add the foam tape to the back of each of the circles, and then I'm going to remove that foam tape, and we will put everything down. So I want to thank you so much if you followed the inspiration hop that we had last week. There were some fabulous cards that were created, so much inspiration. If you missed it, it will be linked at the end of this video. Make sure that you take a look, because we have some amazing crafters on this design team, and the ones that had the opportunity to work with this ahead of time did such a fantastic job. So here I'm going to remove this foam tape, and I'm going to lay this one down, and then I'm going to decide to come in with some beautiful jewels from Pink Fresh Studio after I put my sentiment on. And I did decide to cut a little bit of my sentiment down on the left-hand side. I didn't want to cover up those smaller roses, so I added some foam tape to the back of that. And now we're going to start putting our jewels on, and that's going to be my card for today. If you haven't subscribed to my channel and you enjoyed what you saw, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button. Likes always help. I love to read your comments. Let me know what you think of the new collection from Jamie's shop. And until next time, I hope that you have a fabulous day. Thanks for watching.